Namaskaram. Today's episode, I want to talk about something very real in relationships, especially long term relationships, and how these can cause a lot of stress and affect our health. Modern research shows us that stress is related to inflammation, and again, inflammation is the main cause of a lot of the chronic illnesses that we face today. Now, when I say there's a problem in a relationship, it doesn't have to be a huge problem. It doesn't even have to be a conflict. But over time, most people get so absorbed in their own lives, their work schedule, and other responsibilities and distractions and tiredness, that they stop putting effort into their relationships. So over a period of time, silently, they start drifting apart, they start living parallel lives, and then the emotional connection kind of disappears. It's not that there's no love there or commitment, but it transforms into more of a transactional relationship rather than having that close connection with the other person. Now, and so what happens, we feel disconnected from ourselves, we feel disconnected from others, then loneliness sets in, and this is a huge problem people start facing, especially as you get into your 40s and 50s and your roles keep changing and you getting closer to retirement, then you are kind of lost. This again, at that stage when you become an empty nester or when you've retired, you start wondering, how to connect again, because you were so busy all this time, and all of a sudden you have all of this time, but you don't know how to establish that connection again. And so this feels very lonely. This leads to a lot of mental stress. Some, voice it, some don't. But that mental stress starts to develop as physical problems and also mental and emotional issues as well. So it's important for us to understand this change that is happening, automatically, but at the same time, there is also a physiological basis for this, which Ayurveda explains. So we will look at it from that angle as well. And then I will also share some tips at the end, how to make this a more joyful phase in our life as we get older and, find that inner joy and peace again. Welcome to my channel, VPK Nutrition, Modern and Vedic Integrative Health. Welcome back, everyone. A very heartfelt thanks to all of my subscribers and viewers. And for those who haven't already done so, please do consider subscribing. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and also share your thoughts in the comment section. I would love to hear from you, and also share it with others who may be benefited. So let's begin with today's topic. Today, I want to explore how relationships can appear to be different as we age, how many people lose their sense of closeness that they once had, and how Ayurveda explains all of this and in a way that makes sense. I have seen this kind of transformation happening both in my work, seeing clients, as well as my own life. So this is very important because one of the challenge that elderly population faces is loneliness. And this is not because they don't have a spouse, which could be the case in some cases, but it's more because they are not emotionally nourished by a partner. So again, we cannot always put the blame on someone else, really, because it is more about how we feel inside. So if you feel nourished, if your cup is full, then whatever you get from the outside world is going to be just a bonus, and it's going to just make it more beautiful. But before we do that, we do need these nourishing relationships in our life to get to that place of safety so you can actually fill your own cup. When we grow older, each person grows at their own pace. They don't always grow the same way. They don't grow the same at the same time either. So one person may be very introspective, reflective, going inward more versus like spiritual, and then the other person may be more external, working, being absorbed in work and responsibilities and needing that external environment to nourish them. So over a period of time, even if nothing is being said, slowly they start to drift apart. And this is where the parallel life starts to happen. And at some point, even if there is love, there is not enough time for each other. Even if there is commitment, they don't have enough bandwidth, emotional bandwidth to be with each other. And even if there is communication, it becomes more of a mundane, transactional communication. So over a period of time, this turns more in from a relationship into a routine. So this becomes kind of dull, and most people, as they get to their 50s and 60s, they start to face this, and the happiness kind of starts to fade away from relationships. And this can cause a lot of mental stress, especially if you are expecting to have the same kind of joy and happiness that you had in the past. And so this is where we need to realize that as we age, things change in life and we need to adapt. And here Ayurveda brings up the stages in life to demonstrate how we need to evolve with our evolving age. So why does this even matter, right, to talk about this? Because when we think of health, we're always thinking about lab values. Is my sugar under control, blood pressure, cholesterol? But our body, our health is way beyond just these numbers. It has to do with how peaceful you feel, how energetic you feel, how happy you feel in relationships, how connected you are, how much warmth and safety you feel in your day-to-day life. So this is what really gives us our happiness and comfort, not necessarily just the lab values. Because I have seen people who have value labs which are not that great, but still they're very upbeat and happy. So again, so only a small part of it is those numbers, but those things will get better if we are able to fix the other aspects of ourselves. Ayurveda teaches us that our life goes in stages. Just like we have seasons in a year, our life also has its own seasons. So it defines the 3 stages of life. One stage is from 0 to about 18, 20. It's called the Kapha stage of life. This is where we are all nourished and joyful and happy. And you see the little children are always happy. They're not thinking too much, but they're just enjoying life as it is. Then the second stage is from the age 20 to about 50, 55. This is called the Pitta stage of life. So here we are, working, raising a family, doing a lot of things in the world, more external activities, and pretty busy at that stage. It's probably the most productive stage of your life. Then after about 50, 55, you start slowing down again. Even the body starts slowing down. And then many people become empty nesters. They start thinking about retirement and things like that. And so this is the Vata stage of life. So with Vata, it takes on the form of Vata properties, which is basically more cold, more dry, more detachment, more sensitivity. So how does this manifest? In the physical level, this manifests as a lot of the health issues like the gas and the bloating and having, joint pains and arthritis, chronic aches and pains, which everybody faces. And of course, anxiety, fear, nervousness, things like this. But at the same time, these same properties can start affecting our mind and emotions as well. This is why in relationships, we become more cold in our relationships. We become more dry. We don't put a lot of effort. We don't have any connection to the other person. We feel more detached. So naturally, as we age, our physiology also changes. So Ayurveda says that be aware of this change in physiology and start balancing these doshas so that you can still have that healthy feeling that you once had, and nurture ourselves and our relationships so that it keeps us in a balance. So this stage has been beautifully said to be the Vanaprastha stage in our scriptures, and it gives you specific guidelines on how to evolve with the change that is happening in our body and our mind. So as I already mentioned, there is a lot of detachment is happening, and we want to let go of the old patterns and old desires, because if we keep holding on to those things, we cannot ascend spiritually. And of course, when you let go of the old things, we need to replace it with something else because a mind is always craving for something. So this is where we need to fill it up with spiritual wealth. Now, if you don't replace it and you still keep craving the stuff from the old, going out to eat and going to movies and just the same old, you are not going to feel fulfilled or satisfied. So this is where the shift has to take place. And I'm going to give you some practical tips on how to enrich our relationships, at the same time maintaining your own peace and joy and growing from within. Here are some practical tips for you to follow. Number one, create a daily routine. Now, this is something I have insisted in many of my videos, including my last one I did on after 50 challenges and joys, because this is something important for just about everybody, because nature lives in a routine. We also have to have a routine that goes with the circadian rhythm. Again, following that dosha clock, I will share the link in the description. So this gives structure for Vata, it pacifies Vata and gives you emotional stability. Number two, nourish your body. We always start with the physical body. So eat warm, freshly cooked, moist foods, which are very coolly balancing for Vata. Gets rid of the dryness and the coldness that you feel and makes you feel more grounded and happy and nourished and supported. Number three is Abhyanga. Abhyanga is oil massage with warm oils. Like sesame oil you can use during the winter months, and you can use some coconut oil during the summer months, or you can use a mixture of the two in between. So this is also called snehana, which means giving love to oneself. So we feel unloved at this stage because we don't have that emotional connection. So when you start doing this oil massage, it's almost like you're giving love to yourself and you feel nourished. And this self-care is so important for balancing Vata. Now, coming to relationships. Number four, schedule connection. Don't wait for connection to happen, especially in relationships. Plan a weekly time together, like a date night, something meaningful for the both of you to do. Extend this to friendships as well. Women especially need that emotional support. Keep it simple and light so you're not overwhelmed. Even 20 to 30 minutes of presence matters. So quality versus quantity. For example, sitting and watching a movie for 3 hours is not as fulfilling as a walk for 30 minutes or having a conversation about a topic that both of you enjoy. Number five, soften communication. As sensitivity increases, tone matters more than words. So speak gently, softly, soft tone of voice. Let go of old patterns. Choose compassion over being right. Number six, process your emotions instead of bottling things up. Not everything needs to be expressed immediately. Journal your thoughts and understand yourself with compassion. Reflect on how you can improve for peace. Ground yourself first with all the things mentioned. Pranayama, meditation are all great tools that are necessary for cleaning your mind. So all of these tips that I shared can be very useful in sustaining our relationship in a very healthy way, not just as a duty, but by actually giving warmth in the relationship through attention, through sweet words, kindness, and respect, and ultimately help us feel safe and supported so our mind and body are in sync with each other and feel more relaxed while living in this relationship, and the stress reduces, and this itself will serve as a remedy for a lot of our chronic illnesses and inflammation that we have in the body. If this resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comment section, and if you think this may benefit someone else, please share it with them. As always, listen to your body, observe your mind, and heal yourself. I will see you again in another episode. Have a wonderful week ahead.